Hi! Welcome back. Both Arknights and Endfield had a really special livestream. Arknights with its 6th anniversary stream, and Endfield with its release livestream. Both of these streams had a bunch of special rewards. The Arknights livestream had a 6-star selector with 4 great choices and a free skin voucher. The Endfield livestream revealed that the free Ardelia everyone got in the beta will also be free for release, and that was basically the only thing I wanted from it. However, a free Ardelia does not tell us about the state of the game. Arknights and Endfield are developed by the same company and directed by the same person, but they are vastly different genres. Handling generosity, quality of life, and gameplay balance in 2 different genres is 2 completely different tasks. So, my question is, will Endfield be as F2P friendly as Arknights? Will Hypergriff use the same or a similar philosophy of hating money, as the community likes to joke? Or is Endfield going to be another mainstream game riddled with issues like HP inflation, bad kit design, and power creep? Just before we get into the content, so many gacha games have been releasing some really exciting stuff recently, so let me talk to you about lootbar.gg. Lootbar is a recharge platform that provides safe top-ups and packs for various gacha games including Arknights, Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, and so many more. It is 20% cheaper than official prices, you can get the $100 Originite and Shard packs for $20 off, and new users also get a 6% off coupon. You get instant delivery of your rewards, and you can either use direct top-ups, login top-ups, or Lootbar's self-top-up service. It's trustworthy, and I and so many others have used it so many times before with thousands of great reviews and 4.9 on Trustpilot. They've got 7 days after sales customer support and guaranteed refunds, so do me and you both a favor by signing up through my link to start using Lootbar and save some real money on gacha games. Now let's get back into the content. So first things first, obviously the Hypergriff hates money thing is a complete joke. Nobody actually believes that, and if they do, they're a complete idiot. This joke is made as endearment because Hypergriff constantly decides on not making money with things like skins. Monetization when it comes to skins is one of the freest and least predatory forms of making money in a live service gacha game, and I completely don't mind it, except when it's a couple $100 weapon skin we're spending it on, right? But you also can't joke that Hoyoverse hates money because they barely make enough skins. I mean, I promise you, they could make twice the amount of money they're making right now if they just pump out 2 or 3 skins every single update consistently that are high quality, and they wouldn't have to rely on power creep, but they're just not for whatever reason. But either way, you can't make a joke about Hoyo hating money because 2 out of their 3 big games are riddled with very dirty forms of monetization and spending incentives. The first thing we have to talk about is the gacha system and the insane amount of doom posting it's been getting since the livestream. I've talked about the system enough before, so if you don't get it, just go watch these 2 videos, but either way, the gacha system only got better with the stuff they talked about in the livestream. We're getting more ore barrel with chests, the arsenal ticket system no longer punishes you when you get lucky because you can obtain arsenal tickets through means other than the character gacha. These are of course the weekly activity and ore geometry exchange. Ore geometry is not a paid material by the way, which is a huge piece of misinformation I saw a lot of people spreading. It is obtainable through 3 main F2P sources in-game, and if I were to guess, there will only be more in the future, but that's just a guess. The first source is collecting Oraline and submitting it to your TP points, the energy alluviums, and the protocol pass. And no, the protocol pass is not paid. The battle pass has 3 tiers, the first of which is completely free, the second of which costs 29 ore geometry and gives you back more than it costs, which you can use for arsenal tickets, kinda like Fortnite's battle pass if you're a real OG back from 2017. And again, you can collect ore geometry from the TP points and energy alluvium, so you can easily farm up 29 and buy the battle pass. I believe there were 185 ore geometries in the beta, and they'll increase every time we get a map expansion because more TP points and more energy alluviums. I also saw some people complaining about how the gacha system has a lot of FOMO, but the only source of FOMO is the 120 pity not carrying over, and while that is pretty bad, it is not half as bad as the Doom posters are saying because the 80-50-50 still carries over, and it means no, you are not wasting your pulls if you don't get a 6-star. And finally, I saw people calling the dossier and free temple after 30 FOMO. I can see why the dossier could be FOMO if it was a limited thing only for a few banners, but the dossier is on every banner, and whether you spend 60 now or 60 later, you'll always get it, and it's a free temple other games don't give you. It's not that bad because the 80 pity still carries over. Now the free temple after 30 could have been slightly FOMO, by the way, if it affected the pity, but it does not affect the pity in any way, even if you get the on-banner 6-star. They specifically said that. It's literally just a free temple. Why the hell are you complaining? Now, if you want more, I did already prove that the Endfield Gacha system is more F2P friendly than others by writing a piece of code that simulates 100,000 pulls in Muwa, Genshin, and 2 forms of Endfield pulling. And Endfield was the best. Not by 1 or 2, but by a couple hundred more limited 6 stars. So, the gacha system is fine, and I would love for them to make the 120 pity carry over, but anybody complaining about it right now is not complaining for the betterment of the game, they are doing so to doom post, so let's move on. Generosity has always been quite a hot topic in the gacha space, especially the new Gen 1, where I would definitely say a lot more players are F2P than before. A Genshin Impact player would never survive in Dragon Ball Legends, however an Arknights player would also not survive in Genshin Impact. There is a vast difference between what these players have and what they want. In Genshin Impact, players want more characters and more artifacts, and they need more characters and artifacts in the endgame content. In Arknights, most players who have a 1-year-old account have way more operators than they can even build, and what they want is more materials, and what they need for the endgame content, and what they get from it is more materials. In the Arknights Endfield beta, the Umbral Monument had no gacha currency in it, just like Arknights. However, during the release livestream, the rewards preview for the mode shows that it does have Oro Barrel, which is not a step in the right direction. I always wanted Endfield to have the same endgame design as Arknights because, shocker, I've rated it 10 out of 10 in my endgame ratings video because it's objectively some of the best endgame content in the gacha space. They have a few different modes that each get iterations every once in a while, and they provide content that has unique enemies and unique strategies, while also being super F2P friendly by not falling into traps like HP inflation and instead incentivizing skill. One defining factor is also that the rewards in this endgame content does not give any gacha currency, which is only a good thing. It reduces FOMO because you're no longer rushing to get gacha currency for the on-banner character like you would in other games. It incentivizes the devs to make a more fun mode because players will not play an unfun mode that does not provide gacha currency. And finally, it reduces the chances for the devs to start inflating HP because they want you to clear with the newest characters only to get the best rewards, which again, FOMO. Endfield switching to a gacha reward-based endgame content system is disappointing. Now, I do not think any of the endgame content currently available in Endfield is rotating like the mainstream games or iteration-based like Arknights, and instead is just 3 modes with a limited amount of levels for early game account testing. Umbral Monument also does have a timer, however, as far as the beta shows, this is not a reward-based timer, and unless they change that for release like they did with the Oro Barrel, timers are terrible for way too many reasons, but the biggest of which is that the game stops being skill-based and starts becoming character-based because the devs want you to do a minimum amount of DPS in a certain amount of time, and is only a recipe that leads to things like HP inflation and cock-blocking metas from succeeding because they were way too successful and broken, and the devs don't know how to balance their shit. Anyway, back to Endfield currently probably not having any rotating endgame content. Obviously because of this, Endfield is gonna need new endgame content soon, and what I hope they cook up is something similar to Arknights' Contingency Contract, Integrated Strategies, Trials of Navigator, or Vector Breakthrough, or Reclamation Algorithm. You get the point. There's a lot of things they can do like Arknights that are a proven success and would be all very fun. Arknights created 6 or 7 endgame modes based around the same combat system and made each of them unique so they can do the same with Endfield. And the most important point is no HP inflation, no gacha currency rewards, and keeping niche playstyles alive. The last one is probably the most important because of the way Arknights and Arknights Endfield make, or have been making, character kits so far. Both these games are a lot more niche playstyle based, with the roles of characters going a little deeper than they would in mainstream games. These games only have a few team comps and playstyles that could be considered meta. Meanwhile, in Arknights, literally any strategy that counters the enemies you want to fight would be 100% viable. This again goes back to the endgame content, which is rotation based and thus a lot more reliant on the current new characters instead of iteration based, which relies on your overall account a lot more. Anyways though, Endfield still has way too small of a roster to really tell how they're going to make character kits in the end, but we do have a few clues. The first big one is that 4-star units are definitely very useful. Players had quite a lot of worries about their favorite snake mommy being useless, and rightfully so, but you really don't have to worry. Each of these 4-star units is going to have a set job they do, hence niche playstyle, and in the current roster, there's not really someone who does their job better than them. You'd really only play Ardelia over Fluorite because she provides a more valuable, more versatile job than Fluorite, but the choice is not as simple as Wolfguard or Akakori because again, niche playstyles, different jobs, etc, etc. I'm really going to dive into this once the game does release, so stay tuned, but for now, character kit design is in a very amazing spot, as little as we can tell about it from the small roster. It is just like Arknights where characters can be both useful and completely useless, except probably Wishitel who can destroy everything. Also, Surtur, you can most likely Surtur it in both games, by the way. When talking about character kits, we also have to talk about character dupes, which are known as potentials in Arknights Endfield and Arknights. And Arknights character dupes are basically complete nothing burgers outside of a few cases here and there. They don't provide any huge bonuses to damage or fix any game-changing kit design flaws like Egleia's E1 and My Day's E2, or provide any huge buffs like a few sequences and constellations in Wuthering Waves and Genshin. In Arknights Endfield, so far they are somewhere in between, but definitely leaning closer to Arknights. They do not provide a fix for any kit design flaws, and getting an extra potential will not really make a character feel more complete, just marginally stronger. However, this margin is definitely a little wider in Endfield than in Arknights, as the raw stats provided by Enfield's potential have more value. The strongest potentials I've seen are Ardelia's P1 and Levitane's P1. Ardelia's P1 just makes her a much stronger support, and we're getting her for free by the way, so everyone, hope you can get a dupe. Although again, unnecessary, and we are still in the honeymoon launch phase, this is something that could change drastically. However, dupes are still much weaker and much lower value than any game like HSR, Genshin, ZZZ, or Wooba, even during their launch phases. So right now, Arknights Endfield is a middle ground between mainstream gacha games and Arknights, and a lot of things, most importantly future characters and the endgame content, is to be determined. However, from the clues we have right now, I have no reason to believe that Arknights Endfield is going to be a predatory game. The weapon system is great, and they provided further fixes for launch after we complained about the lucky punishment issue. They increased the amount of aura battle you get from chest, which is absolutely huge. We're gonna get ourselves a free Ardelia and many more pulls. I'm super excited for Arknights Endfield, and I will absolutely be doing reviews on the game basically every patch, just as a state of the Endfield industry's address to keep problems at bay and stop them by criticizing Hypergriff as much as possible. I absolutely love this game, and I know it has so much potential, so for one to glaze, one must also be able to criticize. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this in the future, and join the Express Train Discord server for a fun and lovely community to hang out with. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time.